Okay, so today we're going to talk about Jum Sao. Jum Sao being one of the 5 vowels of the Wing Chun language. In English we've got A, E, I, O, and U. In Wing Chun we have Tan, Bong, Pat, Jum and Gang Sao. So Jum Sao. Jum means sinking or sunk. Some people confuse it with Chun Kuen, seeking the bridge. It's not seeking a bridge. It's not seeking. It's sinking or sunk. I prefer sunk because sinking is an active motion, and what happens when a punch comes into mid-level, people press, and as soon as you press, 2 things happen. First of all, your body mechanics change, your body posture changes, or if it doesn't, what happens is people press their wrist lower than their elbow. Well, all that does then is allow the thing to come back in. So it's more about sunk. When a technique comes in, Jum Sao sticks the elbow down and drives forward. Mechanically, if I can put you into Jum Sao for me. Mechanically, it's very similar to Tan Sao. If you were doing it again without turning and without application, you were just practicing the structure itself, which is what we're really discussing, then either the centre of the wrist or palm, because they're so close it makes no difference, will be on your personal centre line, perpendicular to the shoulders. If I draw a line from the end of the clavicle, the V-shaped bone here, where you've got a little nodule on the end, a little lump that you can feel. You draw a line from here through to the centre of the wrist, you would find your elbow would lie in that exact straight line. The elbow's not pulled in necessarily too much, and it's certainly not out. Okay? As you turn, when you turn, you don't turn with Jum Sao. If you turn with Jum Sao, all that happens is you just open up an avenue of pain. So when you do turn, Jum Sao stays forward as you shift your body to there, and it's that means that the elbow is sinking in. You don't need to pull it in when you square on too much. Okay? The hand angles to match the line of the forearm, where Tan Sao would be rotated. Jum Sao covers on the inside gate, where Tan Sao would deflect on the outside gate. So you're leaning in slightly, and it's in a straight line to here. 3 joints. The fingers are relatively straight. You want to make sure that they're not tucked down because the punch is coming beneath the technique. And the thumb, again, is bent and spaced for the same reasons we talked about in Tan Sao and Pak Sao. Open up the large intestine point number 4 there, the I4 point there, the Hoku point. Let the energy flow through if you're into Qi energy or acupressure, acupuncture, etc., etc. Or so you can stick your thumb straight in their eye if you're a little bit more practical like I am. To here. The same spacing that applies, the same elbow distance that applies in Tan Sao, it's the same elbow distance that would mechanically apply in Bong Sao, the same elbow distance that would apply in Pak Sao, applies in Jum Sao. Fist if you go to the head of the triceps, fist and a thumb if you go into the ball of the joint of the elbow. It's a minimum, it's not a maximum. Jum Sao may have to go forward, it may have to. It can cover low, but it can travel forward as well. You are limited to how low Jum Sao can go by the length of that bone. The difference is within Jum Sao you tend to relax the shoulder down and sink it down a little bit more, where with Tan Sao it would push it forward a little bit more. So Jum Sao sinks here, it relaxes and it sinks the elbow, it drives this bone supported by the shoulder joint down here, and then that's the body cover it gives. If your hand gets too flat, you lose the structure. So the body cover is between the wrist and the elbow, and it's used to receive something coming into mid-level, somewhere around here. Always aim the fingers towards your opponent. I see people sometimes put their hand across. Well, A, it exposes that line, and B, if I suddenly detach and come away, that punch or that strike, if it launches, is facing away from me. It should face towards me, towards your opponent's centre line. So again, Lutzao Chum applies. There's no tension in the bicep, it's purely in the tricep. It's like this arm, consider it like a thin bamboo cane. The only reason why the thin bamboo cane is there is bent because something's holding it bent. In this case, it's my arm. This hand wants to spring forward. The moment something disengages, it's just going to spring. That's all it wants to do. But it always got to spring to the centre line of the opponent, wherever that person may happen to be. Jum Sao is usually, because it's done on the leading shoulder, when you turn, it's done on the leading shoulder. It can't be combined with a punch because that punch will be on the retracting shoulder, and it's further away than it needs to be. So it would be combined with a Wu Sao. So the Wu Sao here would go higher. It would cover the throat as a protective line, because if somebody's throwing a punch low, it's often to draw your hands down, so the next punch could well be high. So if you throw the first one low, drop your hands down, and want you to come high on the next. Okay. So Jum Sao will be combined with a Wu Sao guard at the same time. As I said, it's called sunk elbow. I prefer sunk rather than sinking. I don't want you to feel that you have to press down. If you press down, you lose body cover. You lose that structure. It should drive forward, and it should use the friction and the line of the arm to deflect the force away. Okay? One of the little exercises you can do is actually go to a Dan Chi Sao position. In fact, I'll do it this way. Go to a Dan Chi Sao position here, and even without turning, as the punch comes in, I just push the elbow forward. And I just drive it forward. You just get used to covering on the centre line. And the reason why it works so well is because it travels down the centre line. So a very simple example of that would be that if I put Alan's arm straight and I just make sure it's nice and loose in the shoulder so I can move it. Very simple principle of the Wing Chun centre line would be, if I travel halfway down the centre line, as long as I can dominate this point in space, which is halfway between the two of us, because the punch comes from the shoulder, it's naturally going to miss me. I don't have to turn or anything. So whether I'm doing it with a Jum Sao, and I'm deliberately not turning to prove a point, whether I can cover the centre line with a Jum Sao, or a Bong Sao, or a Wu Sao, or a Pak Sao, or a Jum Sao, and if the arm was low, you could equally cover on a Gang Sao. As long as you occupy that centre line, that punch, which wants to be here, will naturally be deflected away. So Jum Sao is not a big, powerful structure. It just puts the arm in the way. I turn a little bit, because the best block in the world is to just turn that away. Put a guard forward, because there's always another hand thinking about playing, and I just sink the arm in. If they throw in a punch low to cover to here, if that next punch is coming up high, then I can travel. So I make sure the Jum Sao is facing towards my opponent. I relax my biceps off as much as I can. However hard they push towards me, I'm going to lean into it, really emphasise it rather than sit in structure. It's all in the triceps here. That is aiming towards my opponent. There's my Wu Sao. If that next punch comes, I come up the centre. The Wing Chun concept is don't chase the hands. If you chase the hands, let's say from here when he punches, and I chase the hands to here, there's always something else coming. The Wing Chun concept is always, let's actually jump straight towards the centre line. Now, so the next one comes in, I'm always going to go up the centre line. Yes, I'm going to deflect, yes, I'm going to give myself body cover, but I'm going to strike here. Okay? If every time they punch, I chase the hands, I've got to be very fast and very lucky, and I'm going to get it wrong. And it's every time I stop the punch, I've only stopped the punch, I haven't stopped the person. Whereas from the first punch here, if he throws the next one, I can always go into the person, whether I go to the centre line in training, or whether I go to the centre line, sorry, glasses, I go to the centre line in fighting, I'm going to go into something. Because if I take out this control centre, the nerve centre, the thing that controls the whole body, you take that out, this stops working. You take that out, this carries on working, and it causes me more problem. I'm doing more work than I need to be. And the key to Wing Chun is not to do a lot of work, it's to do the right amount of work. So, a lot of people when they're training, I'm training really, really hard. But they're training hard, but they're not training effectively. For example, a drowning man will thrash the water to a foam. They'll still drown, but they're doing lots and lots and lots of work. Where a really good swimmer doesn't make a lot of ripples, but it's efficient, it's effective, and it's productive, and does the job it's supposed to do. And that's really where we're trying to go. So Jum Sao is not a big thing, it's a very simple little thing to do. Okay? If that, at this point, it comes back in towards me, I'm just going to shift it into Gang Sao. I'm not going to try and fight it off or press down or do anything more. I'm just going to shift my structure away. So for the moment, Jum Sao, simple technique, always aim towards the centre line, 3 joints in a straight line, elbow tucked in, with an arm to Wu Sao cover. And that's all there is to it.